Hello, my friends. Back again. I do believe it's Thursday. We're coming up to the last Sunday in November 2021. There's an agenda of Christmas awaiting for us, the Nativity. Let's see what's on YouTube. Can we find something useful? Proszę czekać, aby chciałem wiedzieć nieznacznie. Dobrze, potem. Okay. So, while we wait, we intellectualize common thought. Are we looking for Christmas presents like headline, petrol shortage over, miraculous cure for a naturally occurring virus, SARS-CoV-2? Oh, sorry, we mustn't speak of cure because that's misinformation. So, we just ponder on. We're strolling down the street, handling the Strand. Well, nothing as eloquent as that because that's by a master. But we're strolling, handling the Strand. Oh dear, we're not quite there because we're only halfway down the street. It's Oxford Street, and Oxford Street is, well, closed permanently for business. Just like Washington, D.C., where the White House, we learn insight. I mean, the lights are off at night, it's a dead, there's no life there, So we certainly don't worry about these things. I mean, we have a secondary power generator, so when the network system goes down, we just flick a switch and we're back on again. And that's nothing to do with the internet because, well, that was abandoned a long time ago by alien civilizations who actually thought for a living. Why, when you can think things into existence, why do you need the internet? there's a false rumour going around that, well, some shops in Oxford Street in London are open. I'm sure that's not true, but, well, I mean, if you actually walk down there and you are there and you see a shop or two open, well, presumably your own judgment is correct. I'm looking at Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, the official biography. Why would I want the authorised history of MI5? I mean, who would want the authorised history of MI5? Let's try something. Till boredom, we switch on our email, Gmail, and then we intellectualize YouTube. And we keep switching back to email, YouTube. So we get a fresh screen of 8 presentations and we can choose any one. Doesn't it get rather monotonous when the same characterizations, the same effortless restraints of obnoxious, vicious, deletive, promiscuous, funny, intellectual, sexy jokes, I mean, which aren't actually funny, but, well, why are they there? The moment you actually extrapolate and put into your search engine, actually create something, if you refer back to your, it needn't be the same email, I mean, you have different emails. The scenario changes. You have an interesting presentation. It's a correlation of spontaneity, implicit premise thought, where something is trying to integrate their image of your conception, your conscious awareness that you actually are aware you've done something new, you've created something new. This is how, let's say, higher thought potential through the internet exceeds your conscious awareness, because you notice things change on the internet, on YouTube specifically, because we hybridize information in visual, image and sound. It kind of enables us to think a little bit clearer. So something is up. We have definitely a point of contact. If after we've inebriated something completely different and we see that the perspective of YouTube, a octagonal kind of an octagon choice, an octagonal choice, it's evident. This is a form of appreciation that we've connected with, well, what precedes, what allows us to appreciate what is in front of our eyes. I mean, it's a choice. It's coming from somewhere, from a network. These networks are completely being defied in present-day logic. There are episodes. I mean, if we look into the JFK assassination, what really happened in emergency room 2, JFK, and we look at it as 7-minute presentation of real grimy stuff about JFK assassination. Well, why bother when you've got the 3-hour version on YouTube and telling you exactly what happened between Air Force One and Air Force Two? And so putting that into perspective, all that information, that we're actually speaking about something today of value, a commensurate understanding that someone through the internet is actually having an intellectual discussion underlying the small print reading, sending thoughts, Elon Musk's presentation of actually applying one's conscious energy by thought to your computer. So this is in perspective. So this is as far as the conversation goes. We have to make it interesting. But it will be peaceful because, well, we don't sense fear. There's no fear. Negative energy, negative grey aliens, reptilians, oh God forbid. I mean, it's, listen to one word of Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, about ET contact. And then you'll away with a puff of wind, the SSP alliance under the present configuration that don't listen to misconceptions, falsified evidence, misinformation, that the greys and the reptilians are actually, well, lost control. They still have control. You must understand we are still in trouble. I mean, it's a joke. It really is a joke. Because if they're trying to impress upon you that you must be consciously aware that the planet is still in trouble through extraterrestrial negative, well, can you not read into this? And this is a conception of that understanding. Let's make it interesting. Peaceful. We're not in fear. Alien greys, reptilians. I mean, understand it's a falsification that the world is under a higher E. You must be aware there's still danger. No. the ability to understand the context of the global information system and anything at all on your computer which is presented to you when you happen to switch it on must be unfolded in your, let's say, if you just open the page and read, it would be desirable to know from which book you're reading. I mean, if you're leading Playful Time with Enid Blyton, well, well, it's rather different than Kurs cudów, wstęp, tekst, książka dla studentów. Well, it's they're two different sources. So any information which is presented, identify the source. If it's BBC, well, just basically forget it. If it's CNN, basically forget it. But there's a logic also into how things are presented. When you have a headline, the ultimate truth about death, and it's a 6-minute presentation of some unknown individual who may be figmented into comparison. Maybe they did have a near-death experience. It doesn't mean that will be what happens to you when you kind of close your eyes for the last time, just because somebody closed their eyes and were dead for 3 minutes, or 2 minutes and weren't breathing. Listen to Stephen Greer. Danica Patrick. Yeah, 67 minutes, I think, 61 hours, 7 minutes. His near-death experience when he was 17 years of age. I mean, we're looking here into somebody and configures, we're actually looking into established presence. We know this guy exists. We know his stature as an emergency doctor. Gunshot wounds, knifing, scar acts, all of this, and clearing up the mess, and just looking at somebody and knowing they have a brain tumour, that kind of cognition as an emergency doctor. Well, now a ufologist because when Anita actually touches you on the shoulder and, kind of you understand exactly, his concept of call it ethereal physics which is not compatible with our understanding what really goes on in ET races. I mean, when we intellectualize some of Corey Goode's works, and we actually learn there are ETs that can just, with a hand signal, statuarize, turn into statues, the whole army, the special soldiers and everything. All that you can do is swallow and blink. If that is presented to us, is that a concoction of imaginary thought and subtle counter-information that we're to be frightened? No, this is reality presented to us from a conscious energy field. Corey Goode is a great guy. He's been through the works. He signed a contract for 20 years with. But when we read into the cognition, the implant of the memory system, and we read that 2% of people reject the elaborate jigsaw presentation which is implanted after their experience of the contract with the Secret Space Force and the dark ones. Well, where does that number originate from? 2%? Something here is eerie. There's no way that this can be correlated in statistics, 2%. So, but we understand through mere logic. When something is presented to us, is it compatible with any conceptualization of reality? Well, we're into, big topics. So let's be sweet. Let's understand that we have a concept, an energetical handbag of acceptance, rejection of frivolity and evidence, logical characterization that something is just, well, rubbish. Enough of the words, because we're not into words. We're into complex music and complex music as a complex language. That's the topic of the whole presentation. So let us just discourse. Let us have an insight into what we've just presented. There is meaning behind these words, but let us encapsulate that moment, embroil it in a tonal configuration, an authoritative understanding that we mean what we say, we identify with what we say, and we understand coherently, effortlessly, the further consequences of this understanding in our future life when we close our eyes for the last time and breathe our last breath. We're not worried for that moment to happen, because it may never happen. This is the form of ascension, when we ascend. This is what ascension is all about. Corey Good said he didn't understand ascension. I don't believe him. He's got a very, very good complex understanding of ascension. He's just humble. I like the guy. It's got to be major. It's got to be major. It's the only chord representation of an envelope, how it ends. That's because we're totally at peace. Every word we've intellectualized in this tentative introduction into reality has meaning. Let's greet tomorrow, when tomorrow comes, Annie Lennox. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful presentation of what can be when tomorrow comes. Now, it's difficult to conceptualize something as beautiful as that presentation. The video behind it is esoteric. It's absolutely beautiful. Though the still images of the guitarist and they turn around, and it's just conceptually charismatically an eloquent masterpiece, just as worthy as a Mozart or a Scriabin masterpiece. In today's comprehension of understanding in a secular manner, because Scriabin, Alexander Nikolaevich Scriabin, well, we're here into theosophical thought, and we understand that there is a need to profess one's understanding of higher life, higher consciousness, ascension, exceeding into a higher mode of vibrational frequency. When tomorrow comes, so let's try to put forward a perspective of tomorrow. It will in no way be comparable with what Annie Lennox has created, Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart. When tomorrow comes, but when tomorrow comes, let that be the closing statement. When tomorrow comes, it won't be as beautiful. It cannot be, because that's already the original version. When tomorrow comes, as we understand in any YouTube search. When tomorrow comes. But let us establish that we can. It won't be a parody, my gosh. No, it won't be a parody. But let us conceive of something when tomorrow comes. I mean, would we be fearful? No. So we're not going to blast chords. We're not going to conceive. So we know how it's got to be structured. We're looking into piano composition. When tomorrow comes, we appreciate. We must convey silence. So are we, like John Cage, going to sit when tomorrow comes and then maybe kind of play that note with our forehead? I mean, would that be original? Well, I'm sorry, but that's, not composition. We've got to think of something meaningful. Use our fingers. So we're into A minor. It must be A, because we're at the start of the alphabet. When tomorrow comes, we're looking into a new day, a new visage of enterprise, communication with a higher system, a higher frequency energy. That's all. We'll end on that note. So we end on alpha, A. But it's minor because, well, we can't constrict our day into all emblazoned, proficient, wonderful joy, because the structuralization of energy interchange and the knowledge transfer network of the Ministry of Defence, materializes to undo unnecessary grievance. We learn through an established etiquette with higher frequency communications that something must challenge us. We're not able to reply. That's why it must be minor. But that's meant to instruct us, because when we actually do come up with a solution, well, that's how we learn. Well, we won't end with voice, we will end with music. So let's just characterize where we are now, and then we'll sign off. We know that's not the end. That wouldn't be an ending. So we're back into a constrict. I mean, that's no ending. With the only ending can be ethereal. That's the perfect resolution. That's no resolution, but it is. It is. That's how we mean. That's what music is all about. That's the perfect, in my mind. I mean, you may disagree, but that is the resolution which will end this discourse. Have a lovely day, my friends. It's Thursday. It's the Sunday before the last Sunday in November 2021. Signing off. God bless.